And time. You guys ready?
We're ready.
Brenda's like, I'm ready. I'm totally ready. Facebook is definitely ready. They're watching you guys. Rock on. All right, you guys are gonna. This is a good one today, so pay attention to this.
They're all good.
They're all good.
Yeah.
The reason that most people quit and how you can keep that from happening for you. That's what we're covering today. So the reason that most people quit on going after something they're dreaming about, something that they desire. In our world, it's investing into yourself physically, to your fitness and to your health. So what exactly is that? That's what I'm going to cover today. I'm your coach, Coach Esteban. Thanks for being on. Let me know what part of the world you're watching from. Christine, you're so good. You like get on there fast. I love it. Put in the comments the part of the world that you're watching from. All right, so for those of you that don't know, my wife and I live on a hobby farm. Call it a hobby farm because we've got multiple acres. We've got the horse, we've got the chickens, got my garden that my wife takes care of. And she also works for a horse rescue. The barn is relatively close to where we're at. Multiple horses that have been rescued from going into slaughter. And the idea is to rehab them and donate them to veterans that have gone through PTSD and that nature. So the other day, we got Northwest Ohio. I can't ever pronounce it.
Gloucester.
Thank you every time. Norway, love it, all over the place. The Californians are like, we're from Cali. So the other day, we had to take hay because the barn was out of hay. So where they store the hay and where the horses are is not in the same barn. So we load up our truck. And a lot of people will be like, well, why do you need such a beautiful truck? Why do you need a truck with tires like that? Why do you need a truck with a bed the size that it is? Well, it allows us to serve at a higher level. So I want you to put yourself in the story of the truck here. When people are like, Esteban, do you really need a six-pack in your 50s? No, I don't. Yet it's a representation of my health, of my physical health, of my emotional health. You can immediately see what I'm capable of, my level of integrity, discipline, commitment. We see that with everybody. So with the truck that we're driving, is it capable of doing the job? What our purpose is we get to feed these horses. We get to load up the hay and take it to the other barn. Have anybody here ever had like a vision where you're like, I'm so motivated. Here I am. I'm walking to it. I'm working on me. I've got this mission. I've got this vision where I'm gonna serve people at the highest level. Anybody ever had? Yeah. Oh yeah. Then what typically happens? Has anybody ever heard life happens? Yeah, life happens. Another word for this is called the drift. So ironically enough, for us to go from one barn to the other barn, we have to cross a creek. Who the freak drives through a creek? So if you go into this, like I just go through, is there a chance that we could go under and get pulled with the drift of the creek? Is that a possibility? 100%. And has anybody ever experienced that with their health and fitness journey, where you start, you're all excited, and boom, life comes and the drift pulls you away? It was just me. So the drift, stress, anxiety. Esteban, I was stress eating. I've got anxiety. You don't understand. I've got all this going on in life. Something going on with your spouse, with your finances. The influenza is going around. Isn't another pandemic that's going on? You guys increase your, definitely focus on you, invest in you. because these pandemics, they're being released one after another after another. How is it that this was called for 3-4 months ago and they knew exactly when it was going to happen? So what do? Pull up to the creek. I step out. I gotta check the depth. So I'm gonna share with you how this analogy of what we really went through on getting the hay and having to take it to the horses, that's your purpose, that's your vision, and how it applies to your real life. I had to check what's the depth in this. So identifying, am I taking on more load than I'm capable of today? This is part of celebrate every small win. Every small win counts. This is when you overload what you're capable of today, you could go under, you could get pulled with the drift. But we're not giving up. So many people are like, oh, I don't know what's in that drift. I don't want to get pulled to the drift, so let me stop. That's not you. No. I want you to write down, I'm driven. Because we were driving for sure. I had to make sure we were able to cross. Oh, so it makes sense to have the truck that we have with the tires that we have and the bed that we have. It makes sense to have the physical strength to overcome the influenza, the I'm tired, the I'm stressing. Because when you're driven, when you've got a purpose, if your truck is not strong enough to overcome that drift, you're not going to go to your purpose. And our purpose is these horses have to eat. So what's another way that we could be driving into the creek? And we did. And it's that my wife is like, oh, she was driving. And I'm like, in my truck, I can go 3 feet depth of water. It's designed for that. We didn't know about her truck. So I'm like, you got to keep this tempo going. So what would make sense? Getting the winch, that's a cord in the front of the truck, and we tie it on the other side of the creek in case that drift starts pulling you out. You're like, boom, we get pulled in. That's called your mentor. That's called your coach. Because in life, when the drift comes, you could get pulled under, right? Anybody ever experienced that? I have multiple times in my life. What has been your drift? I want you to put in the comments. What's been your drift that has pulled you under that creek, under the little river? So one is I've got the winch. I've got that lifeline to make sure that we cross that creek. That's your mentor and a coach. And I want you to write that down. Put mentor in there. The next one is she had her buddy Haley. She's on the other side. He's like, I've got to cross here because my there to ensure that you're crossing to the other side. My wife is driving in a truck and the water's coming up to the door and it's pushing and the snow's melting, so the water's higher than normal. And are these tires going to have traction? Are you going to have traction, or are you going to get pulled with the drifts of life? But we paid for the hay. We can't let the water come to the back of the truck. We got to keep going. We can't stop. When you pay for a program, when you pay for a coach,
On my Zoom, what is
you
it?
pay for a destination.
Well, I'm waiting
on a
for the
cruise.
You may have to sign something. but I
I'm
won't know.
going to a retreat.
No.
And you've got that. You're like, I've invested. I can't stop now. We got to feed these horses, right? Right purpose. Put the word purpose in the comments.
Yes.
That's what kept us going, knowing we have to cross this creek. We got to get past this drift because we've got a purpose. We've got a purpose on that other side of the creek. So I'll close with this. The drift is real. You're going to have stress. You're going to have anxiety. If you have breath of life. Thank God that stress and anxiety and the drift are coming for you, because that means you're still around. The thing is, how do I make sure that we're going to get from the one side of the creek to the other side of the creek? How do I make sure that I'm going to, in this season, I get past that drift? Get as many lifelines as possible. It's those winches tied onto our truck, making sure that no matter how strong that current was, that we stayed on. Get your mentor, get your coach, get an accountability buddy. That hay isn't free. It was paid for. So it's like, oh, there's money put into that. We just can't invest your time and your finances into something, whether that's a 5K, whether that's a retreat. Doris and Renee and Kat just came from an awesome summit in Beverly Hills. It's like we're investing financially, and we're traveling, and we're meeting up with the buddies. You want to hook up as many lifelines as possible, because the drift is real. As I close, I've got a massive lifeline for you. Next Monday, I'm launching a challenge. This is where you're going to get the guidance of a mentor and a coach, yes. And I'm going to put you in a tribe where you have your accountability buddies. If you already have a friend or a family member that you want to do life with, that you want to invest into your, how do I elevate my truckness? I'm going to use that one. Invite them, send them this link. Put the word lean in the comments. This is the Love Yourself Lean challenge. I'm going to be going live with you in a Zoom room. If you register, if you don't register, I can't help you out, and you get to show up. If you can't make it live, the recordings will be in our Facebook group. So for those of you that live in different time zones, I'm going to be going live each night at 6 p.m. to give you some daily guidance on how do you reset, how do you recharge, how do you remotivate, how do you get inspired, and hook up your lifelines to make sure that you get past that drift and you get to your destinations. Do you think we made it across the creek? Of course we did. I got to tell you the story. It was so cool too. Like, those of you that haven't driven a truck through a creek, super awesome. Now it's got to be enough to where it scares the crap out of you. That's the coolest part. And yep, we made it across, driving through some snow, ice, mud, unloaded. The horses are good to go, because my wife is awesome. Put that down. Say, I am awesome, because you are. But I am awesome, and we'll close with that. Put the word lean in the comments, and I'll send you a link for our challenge that kicks off. Yes, you are. It kicks off this coming Monday. Yeah, if I would have recorded this, I totally would have put it up on social media. Check it out, going through. My wife's freaking out. I'm freaking out. Are we going to get pulled in the drift?
That's sexy that she was driving.
My wife is very sexy.
I
Yes.
know. I've seen her.